This is the fastest path to monetization on Threads, and it does not involve having a newsletter. How I got started on Threads was at zero. I didn't know what to post. I felt self-conscious about posting. I was cyberbullied as a kid. Everything was working against me. Think of it as a buffet. It's like you walk into a buffet, you're hungry, but you've got all of these options there and they all look pretty yummy. So which one do you go for? That's how I felt at the start. Then, as I stripped down everything to the essentials, what I ended up doing was I built a system that allowed me to go from 17 followers to making my first $1,000 on Threads. And now that's like a recurring revenue each month. Without a newsletter, without complex funnels, because I hated the idea of having all of this back-end stuff, just a distraction from what the main purpose of a business is, which is to help people. With that being said, in this class, I'm going to help you do the same. If that sounds good, please spam the reactions in the chat and let me know that you can. Love to hear it. Anthony, welcome as well. Great to have you here. I'm going to be walking you through my step-by-step process from 0 followers on Threads to monetizing, making your first 1K. There are no unnecessary distractions. It is just a step-by-step, focused, clear path that you can take. And it is getting my lessons over the last 18 months without having to get the scars along the way that I definitely did. So there are a bunch of steps here, but we'll go through those now. And I'll start with step 1. Step 1, optimize your bio on Threads. This is the simplest place that you can start because it's real estate. It's prime real estate. Let me just share my screen before we move forward because I think visuals are good. Can everyone see my screen? Reactions if you can. Cool beans. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. First step is to optimize your bio. And as I was saying, this is prime real estate on Threads. It's telling people who you are, what you do, and why they should follow you. So here's an example, but the first few steps here are going to look similar to what we actually have inside our community in phase 1. So for optimize your bio, you've got a few different parts to it. You've got your display picture, your actual bio itself, the link in your bio, and a pinned post. Those are the 4 different elements in your bio. And by optimizing all 4, you're telling people, your people, that you're someone worth following. To use an example, let's have a look at Captain Yaz's bio on Threads. Okay, so writing about Threads growth and self-improvement, building Saints College in full circle for creators. Here we've got the profile picture, display picture, the actual bio itself, a link in bio, and a pinned post. The profile picture itself, all you want this to do in the most effective way possible is to tell people who are looking from the outside in, who have no idea who you are, that you are a creator, not a consumer. Put effort into making it look good. Like what Yaz has done here is put a brownish maroon background. It's like Yaz has created this picture. So effort has gone into it. And it's telling someone that like Yaz takes her digital presence seriously. Then we've got the bio, writing about Threads growth and self-improvement. Yaz has taken a very streamlined approach because she's on the team and like we know what Yaz's niche already is. This is basically telling people what you're going to be talking about, and it allows them to come into your world. These 2 or 3 things will be discussed in your posts. This is a really important part. This tells people that you're ambitious and you're in the process of doing something. It's what makes people follow you on Threads because you're working towards something. You're a leader who is getting followers. It's forward-looking, forward-facing. So that's the bio itself. Then the link in bio, when we're going from 0 to 1K, this will be a place to just capture email addresses, a landing page. You're not actually doing anything else at that point off Threads. And so it's keeping it simple from 0 to 1K is the point here. You don't want to overload yourself by trying to learn all of these things like how to do a newsletter or build a product. Keep it simple by just posting on Threads from 0 to 1K. Then once you have a good post that does well, that's what you have done here. And this one did really well. So that is optimize your bio. Then we move on to step number 2, which is engage like crazy. So this is where most people go wrong. when they start on threads is they underestimate how important this step number 2 is. They think that if they do all the posting in the world, that people will just come and magically find them. But if you were like me at the start and you had no idea how to actually post on threads, what worked, what didn't, you're just going to be posting into the void. And I posted into the void for 4 months. It took me 4 months to go from 0 to 1K, posting every day, trying to figure all this stuff out. Trust me when I say that this is the fastest way to do it. And instead of expecting people to come into your world and reply to your comments, you need to go and make the first move. There are 2 different ways you can do that. One is to steal attention from bigger creators by commenting on their posts, because if someone has 100,000 followers, they're getting potentially tens of thousands of views per post. If you comment on their post, you're stealing those eyeballs that those bigger creators are getting in their posts. Okay? What happens then? If you have a valuable comment in there, something that isn't just a like facts or a fire emoji, if you actually add something nuanced and valuable and thoughtful, you're increasing the likelihood that the thousands of people who will see your comment not only like it, engage with it, but potentially go on to follow you. Extremely important point that I can't overstate. That's the first way you can go and engage in terms of outbound stuff. The second way is to engage with smaller creators or people who are at a similar level to you. Because if you're at 17 followers like I was, and you comment on someone's latest 3 posts who maybe has 20 followers, it's like you guys know, the 2 of you know that you're at a similar level, and you know that this part's really hard to get that ball rolling, get the momentum. So you get each other. It makes it easier to establish a connection and gain another follower. If you like posting about spaghetti bolognese, you search spaghetti on threads, see what people are posting about spaghetti. You engage with a few posts about spaghetti and you say, hey, I also love spaghetti. Like, great to see your content, super valuable, just followed you. It's making the fact that you followed them public and known makes them more likely to reciprocate, because now it's public and you're saying like, hey, I've just done this, and it's implying that they should too. That is the engage like crazy part. In short, comment on big creators' posts, comment on small creators' posts, make your comments meaningful and valuable and not generic. That's how you stand out at the start. And the better you do that, the faster you grow and get to 1K. Simple as that. Then, and here's a good analogy to think about this in terms of making the importance of making your comments valuable. And it's like a party trick. Imagine you're walking into a party, you sit in the corner and you do nothing. And this is the equivalent of just commenting facts on everyone's posts and thinking that you're engaging like crazy. No one notices that. Instead, let's say you start juggling 17 different knives with one hand without cutting yourself. Anyone at that party, if there are 1,000 people, it would be impossible for all 1,000 people not to notice. And the likelihood is that those 1,000 people would want to know more about you for a long time afterwards, because that's insane. You want to be the person juggling 17 knives with one hand on threads in the comments. Let that sink in. That's step 2. Step 3, post 3 times a day. Consistency is king. Everyone says it because it's true. That's why cliches are cliches, because they're true. Don't let the fact that it's a cliche water down the importance of this point. There is nothing special about what I do on threads. I've not grown the fastest. I don't have the best posts. I don't have the best content. I'm not the best at anything. I'll say for maybe one thing, which is consistency. The only thing that I've done better than almost everyone on threads, because I started on July 10, 2023, and have posted 3 times a day, every day since then, is consistency. It means that I can't really lose if I'm just going to continue doing this. Even during the algorithm slaps or whatever that everyone complains about, if you just keep posting and trying to get a little bit better each day, you will win. You just can't quit. That's what this one is all about. And how I would do this and how I still do it: once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening. Mixture of short form posts and long form posts. What are those? exactly what does that actually mean. Here's a few examples of short form and long form post. Here we have, so this is a short form post. Very short. Nothing's better than realizing consistency beats reality every time, and how relevant to the topic we're talking about, which is consistency. I didn't plan that. That's a short form post, super short. Here's still what I would consider a short form post, but this is what I'd call a listicle. You've got a hook, some bullet points, and then a final sort of closing sentence. Still short form. Here's what a long form post is. So it's got a hook, but then it's got mini posts beneath the hook, and each one is its own. Think about each mini post beneath the hook of a long form post as its own enclosed post. The idea behind this is, and this is what I learned from Dan Cope in his mastermind a year ago, is that in a long form post, it's so high leverage because each mini post, like this one that I'm outlining here, should represent its own standalone post. Meaning, this right here is good enough that I could just go and post this as it is alone, and it would still work really well. Lennox, why is that? Because if someone's reading this, in theory, this should be so good that they want to go repost it. Now, obviously, that didn't happen with this one, so I didn't do it good enough. This is what we should work towards, though. And it should be so good that they go and repost it, because if they go and repost it to their feed, that means that this separate post, mini post that's highlighted, is being shown to that person's audience. And if that person's audience sees this repost, is interested in it, then they're attracted to come and look at this entire thread. That creates the snowball effect, and that's how posts go viral. Pretty cool, right? So that's the goal that we should work towards. And that is one of the many reasons why long form posts are so high leverage, because you're expanding your luck surface area in terms of how many people you can attract to see your post. So that is what posting 3 times per day looks like. And remember the party trick analogy, juggling 17 knives with one hand, in terms of how unique and different that is, and how you just can't forget that. That's the sort of impression that you want to leave on someone with your posts, because that's how you stand out from everyone else. Another way to think about this is it's like your posts are like digital billboards. And the more you put out, the more likely people will see them and engage with them. To be specific, imagine you're driving down the highway and one billboard of, this would be a bit scary, but bear with me, of this on a billboard. Who the fuck's this guy? And then that's all for the rest of the 4-hour drive. Now imagine if you see this billboard literally 1 meter apart for the entire 4-hour drive, let's say 200 miles, 1 meter apart for 200 miles down a straight strip. You couldn't get that picture out of your head for that 4-hour drive, because you've occupied all this mental real estate in the person's mind. That's what posting 3 times per day allows you to do. Occupy the mental real estate and get people to follow along in your journey. Okay, that is posting 3 times per day. Then we're looking at step 4, niching down. At this point, we've been at 0 to 1K followers. We've been on this journey of engaging like crazy and posting 3 times per day. We're doing that until we get to 1K. That's it. That's all you need to do to get to 1K. Bio, engage, post. Do not do anything else. Just keep it simple. Trust me. Things get very complicated if you allow them. You need to intentionally avoid that. Do that by following these 3 things and these things only from 0 to 1K. Now that you've done that, it's time to niche down, which is a very loaded topic. I can make it very easy for you, and you don't have to put any effort into doing it. I'll answer that question at the end, Michelle. It's a great one about the profile pictures. And best time to post, I'll also answer that one, Fabian, which I've got some insights on. And Yaz, if you wouldn't mind putting those questions at the bottom of this college class page, that would be very helpful. This process that I'm about to show you is probably one of the lessons I'm most proud of in Saints College, purely because of how ridiculously easy it is and how you can do it for free. This will tell you how to find your niche on Threads in 17 minutes using ChatGPT with prompts that are just ready to go for you. How does that sound? Fabian's keen. Anyone else keen? Got to get a bit more love than that. Yes, okay, Michelle's keen. This is step 5 of the engagement process inside Saints College. It's called how to specify your niche. Importantly, this is what you want to do once you've reached 1K followers. If you've been posting, each post is data. Create a free metrical account. However, we are now working with Blacktwist, so we suggest you use Blacktwist if you want to get some better features along the way, but we'll be talking about that in a future class. And then you want to connect your Threads account. What you want to do is show the analytics for your top 25 posts or even top 50, the more the merrier. Then you just copy and paste those posts into ChatGPT and give it this prompt. This prompt is going to get ChatGPT to analyze what the theme is among your top performing posts. And then it will literally tell you, like, these are the things that you should focus on based on your top performing posts. That's what I did. When I did this process, it literally told me that I should focus on Threads growth stuff because that's what most people who follow me engage with the most and like the most. It's freely available in Saints College. In the classroom, if you go to SCU Phase 1, choose one overarching topic and then just click on that link there and it will take you directly to that page. And this is Reese Power. I saw you were commenting in the post beforehand, so thanks for letting me know. That is the easiest way to niche down because you don't have to actually think about it. You're just using data. And if you are data-driven instead of drama-driven, it makes all of the decision-making that much easier. Okay, why this matters is that, look, even Dan Coe himself, this is where he led me astray, I would say, because he's all about the sort of generalist approach. But what people fail to realize is that he started as a specifist or a specialist with his web design stuff. That was his niche. And the point that most of us miss is, and I've only learned this in the last few months, is that you actually need to be a specialist as soon as possible at the start in order to become a generalist later. What do I mean by that? Let's use an analogy of Ali Abdaal, who's the most followed productivity person on YouTube, Alex Hormozy, who is the business dude, Dan Coe, who is the generalist dude. All of them started with a specific niche. For Ali Abdaal, it was how to get into Cambridge Medical School. For Hormozy, it was personal training. For Dan Coe, it was web design. They all started off as specialists in order to get social proof and authority and to get that momentum going. Then, as they level up, they're able to expand their niche into broader things because they've got more proof and they're able to talk about more things because they're credible about more things. This is a really important point that most people skip. They just want to skip straight to the I want to talk about everything, which means that without any proof, they're basically talking about nothing. What we do in the first 1,000 followers is to figure out what you should be talking about based on the data that you've gotten from your top performing posts. Once you've figured that out, then you become the specialist, and that is how you make yourself memorable and valuable. That is step 4, niche down at 1K. Then step 5 is to start your free school community. Okay, so from here, instead, like this is where I went wrong. I did the newsletter path, but I highly recommend nowadays that you would just do a free school community instead. Why? Because you don't have the engagement in a newsletter. You go and post it once per week. Maybe you see an open rate, but it's not really telling you much. Someone opens your newsletter, maybe they read it, maybe they don't, but that's it. You don't have that direct contact with the people in your audience. With the school community, you do. Like, look at us on this call now. This was done through school. When I had my newsletter for almost a year, I did not have a call like this with anyone from my newsletter. I think that's telling. The point of the free school community, if you're using Threads, is that You're already building a community on Threads. So it's not like you need to go and learn this other huge skill of writing newsletters. You can go straight to starting a school community because it's literally the same thing. You are posting and engaging. You don't have to think about writing this artful newsletter that has all of these like cool concepts in them and it needs to be perfect and whatever. It's just, you're just helping people out and connecting with them and trying to be useful. It's as simple as that. This was the big game changer for me because the newsletter thing, I didn't see it getting me anywhere. What we do here, once we've launched the free school community, is with your 1,000 followers, remember how I said at the start in step 1 that you've got your link in bio? This is so you can passively collect email addresses. You might have gotten 15, 20 signups, even if you got none. But with whatever signups you did get, you simply, with one click of a button in school, send them an invite to join your school. That way, you can get a few people in just by sending those invites. And then what we start doing is some warm outreach. So what does that involve? By this point, we know that you're at 1,000 followers, and one would hope that you've connected with a few people on Threads along the way. On Instagram, you let them know about your school community, and then you invite them to join, and you do this for your first 100. You treat them like royalty. These are the people who will get flywheel going. They will start spreading the word and getting members into your community because they love it so much. And that's what many of the people inside Saints College have done. Michelle, thank you. And by the way, do you prefer for me to call you Reese or Michelle? Let me know. But this is how you get the ball rolling. Michelle, cool. The difference between the newsletter and a school or a community is the difference between a megaphone and a round table. A newsletter, it's like you're just shouting through a megaphone. And once a week, you're like, here's all of this shit. Now read it. Versus a round table where you're having a round table discussion. Inside Saints College, people post, they share their wins, we comment on stuff, we have our pod, bio review, and then people help each other out. It's a round table discussion. That is exactly why for our paid community, Full Circle, that's what the circle means. It's a round table thing. Everyone's equal. Everyone has value to share. It's not this pyramid scheme in a newsletter where you just send your shit out once a week and then other people just passively receive it. It's this evolving thing. So obviously I feel very passionate about that. I think this is really where the future of the creator economy is going. Anyone can send a newsletter out once a week with ChatGPT, but you can't ChatGPT a community. Maybe that's a good one-liner. You can't ChatGPT a community. All right. So that is step 5. Yep. Say less. Fabian, love it. From there, our next step, everyone take it. First in, best dressed. I think that's it. From there, we want to start plugging our offer. For some reason, the rest of these steps didn't actually come to my Notion page, which is annoying. Now, where are we at? Vibe check, progress report. What are we doing here? Lennox, where's the making money part? Hopefully you can see that this is the foundation for the making money part. We all understand that we need to have some sort of traffic or audience if we're doing online business. So this is the foundation that we lay to get to the making money part. And this is the part that most people avoid for sometimes years because they just want to take the shortcut and go straight to like MRR and then realize that it doesn't really get them anywhere and they just keep chasing their tail. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I know that many of us have experienced it. Step 6, plug your offer every day on Threads. And your offer is your free school community. At this point, you have at least 1,000 followers and 100 members in your free school community. The first 100 came from you DMing them and engaging with them and asking them to join. Think about getting those first 100 as giving them a handwritten invitation to your party that you're hosting in real life. You would feel pretty special if you received a handwritten invitation from someone to attend a party, especially these days where it's just a Facebook event or a DM. That's what you want to do with your warm outreach to get your first 100. You make these people feel special because they are. From there, we go to step 6, which is to plug your offer and write 3 long forms a week. So what does this mean? I've posted over 2,500 times on Threads, and have spent an inordinate amount of time figuring out what the best way to convert people from followers to leads is. The result of that is that I've got 11.2K followers on Threads now, and we've got 1,860 people inside Saints College, which is a pretty good rate from followers to leads or members. Through all of that experimentation, this is what I've found to be the best way to convert people on Threads. Firstly, you do it once a day. Secondly, there are two different types of ways that you can do it. One way is through a long form, and that's the best way. The second way is through a listicle. I'll show you what this means in a second. Ideally, you would do a long form every day, but that's a lot of work. For most people, 3 long forms per week after 1K is a good cadence to follow. There are 7 days in a week. This is 3 times per week. What about the other 4 days? The other 4 days is when you do a listicle. Okay, Lennox, what does that look like? How do you make these plugs effective? 3 key ingredients that you want to bear in mind that make a highly converting CTA on Threads in a long form post or a listicle. The first ingredient is it needs to be relevant. So if I'm talking about Threads growth and then I have a story about why spaghetti is the best type of pasta, and then I have a CTA in that long form post about Threads growth and joining Saints College, probably see what the conversion rate on that CTA would be. However, if I have a long form post talking about Threads growth and then I have a CTA that is related to that, it'll be a better conversion rate. The second ingredient is it needs to be specific. The example I like to use here is that, let's say I have a long form post that's talking about why fruit is the best thing for you, and you can have a great, healthy lifestyle if you only eat fruit and nothing else. By the way, I don't personally believe that, but let's just run with the example. That's your post. And then in the bottom of that, you have a CTA to join your community, and it's called Banana Lovers. And it's all about finding the best bananas from the different supermarkets around the world because you're just obsessed with bananas. So it's relevant, but is it specific enough? Let's say you've attracted 1,000 people to view your long form post about why a fruit only diet is the best. Then of those 1,000 people, they see the Banana Lovers community. And what this is assuming is that all 1,000 people also love bananas when your post is about fruit. But of those 1,000 people who also really love bananas, maybe there are 50 or 100. Instead, imagine if your post had been about the best types of bananas. That's much more specific to what your offer is, and the conversion rate on that will be much higher. This is the part that gets people. The engagement on your post, and this is something that I would highly recommend, sear this into your brain, because this is a thing that fucks with a lot of people's heads, including my own. The more specific your post is on Threads, the worse the vanity metrics will be, but the better the conversion rate will be. This is the irony or the paradox of Threads growth. The moment that I started to niche down with Threads growth was the moment that, ironically, I started growing less quickly on Threads, but getting more conversions inside of Saints College. Instead of talking about self-improvement, online business, and mental models, I'm just talking about Threads growth now, which, again, let's be real, nowhere near as many people love that. But if you do follow me, the likelihood of you coming to join Saints College is much higher. That is the paradox of growing on social media when you have a specific offer and you want to optimize for monetizing. Also, it does mean that your engagement rate is better because, yeah, proof is in the pudding. You came from a post and now you're on this call. It's really important because it's very easy to get caught up in the I need shitloads of followers by any means necessary trap. Bear that in mind. Most people know that a CTA will be coming at the end of a post. Because of that, subconsciously or consciously, they raise their guards and get a defense mechanism for that CTA. If we believe that our offer really helps people, we should be doing everything we can to circumvent that defense mechanism and catch them off guard. Because we can actually help them and we have a right to help them. And that is what the seamlessness of your CTA does, or the integration of your CTA does. So let me show you an example of how to do that with a listicle. You guys finding this helpful? Love it. Awesome. We might go a little bit over the hour, but I feel like it's important to wrap this up. The recording will be available if you can't stay beyond the hour. Cool. Glad you agree, Michelle. So this is my recent long form. It's definitely not the best CTA I've ever done for Saints College, but it was effective. And let me show you. This was posted 36 hours ago. What's today? 12th of February. Then look at the people who joined Saints College on the 11th of February or since then. All the names. 12th. That's 30 people. Each page shows 30. Oh, yeah. 30 people since 11th of February. Let's see how far this goes. 11th, 10th. 32 people have joined in the last 24 hours or so. And full transparency, because Yaz also, all around the world, a few of them came from one of Yaz's posts, but most of them came from mine. So I win. But you get the idea. Let's say 25 people came from this post. And I know that because I asked them, like, where did you come from on Threads? That is what this process can do for you. When you do it, you've got it specific, you've got it relevant, and you've got it seamless. And in terms of the seamless part, the example that I wanted to show you is this post is about 7 lethal ChatGPT prompts, got me 3 million threads views in 30 days, steal them. Thank you, Becca. It was very good. And then here is my seamless integration. Want ChatGPT to fix your content auto-magically. I could give you more prompts. Instead, here's my exact system. Join 1,850 creators in Saints College for free and get 420 viral hooks to 10x reach, 17-minute niche finder checklist, AI frameworks, 10x engagement. No catch, no fluff, just what's working right now. Claim your spot before it fills up. 800 people viewed this and 25 people took action. That's what it is, very specific and it is very relevant. Imagine if I had nailed how seamless this was. Maybe 50 people would have joined. I will try to find an example of a plug, because this one actually blew my mind because it was a listicle and I never thought that listicles would have such a high conversion rate until I had this post. Give me a couple of seconds because I promise it will be worth it. Here we go. Check this one out. This is the best example I could give you for what a seamless CTA on Threads looks like. Now, this one blew my mind because normally my understanding of conversions on Threads is that I need to give so much free value before I make an ask. Here's the catch though. If it's so seamless that they don't even see it coming, they will just join. It's like a slippery slide. They just slide down and they don't even know how they ended up in your group. This is what happened. The 7 don'ts of Threads. Whoops. Don't promote on Threads, help. Don't write cleverly, write clearly. Don't get followers, make friends. Don't make it viral, make it valuable. Don't post perfectly, post imperfectly. Don't build an audience, build community. Notice how this is in the next post beneath it. So the 7 don'ts of Threads, in this top post, all is 6. On the Threads feed, you're thinking, as someone who doesn't know me, hasn't come into my world yet, there are 7 here in the hook, but then only 6 in the post. So where's the 7th? I guess I should click on this post to see if there's something beneath it. 7, don't buy a Threads course. Oh, okay. Join SC for free. What's SC? 1,690 creators are growing like crazy without wasting cash on ChatGPT hacks. Join them. All right. This is the crazy part. 8 people liked this. 838 people saw it. Any guesses how many people joined? It's not absolutely insane, like hundreds or anything, but it is very good for a listicle. Any guesses? Yeah, Becky, you're pretty much on the money. About 40 people joined. I was mind blown because I've done this a lot over the last 18 months, and I discounted the effectiveness of getting conversions from listicles. I just didn't think I could give enough before asking. This proved me wrong, and entirely because there is that seamlessness of the CTA. It's built into the post itself instead of being tacked onto the end of it. Does that make sense? Super important point. And if you get it, do it well, obviously you can get good results. That is, you're plugging your offer once a day. Then what we do is step 7 is now we're working towards running a free cohort. Now, I know what you're thinking, like free, what the hell, Lennox? Why? I'm assuming in this whole process, 42 is the answer to life. The free cohort is because if you're watching this, like you're starting at 0 on social media, you want to do it in the most proven way that is actually going to be the fastest, because you don't need to try and like take a shortcut to monetization without having this stuff done beforehand. Because if you do that, you do it over and over again, you end up failing for years and then eventually realize that something like this, the long way, is in reality the best way, the fastest way. And if you just follow these steps, you'll see that this is just the fastest way. It feels like you're not going fast, but then you get to a point where you've made money and you're like, oh, that just happened. This is what step 7 is. Run a free cohort for 20 people. Where are we at in terms of our progress so far? 1,000 followers on Threads. By this point, step 7, you're probably at least 1,500 to 2K, maybe even more, depending on how well you're doing this stuff. Where are you at in your community? At least 200 people, maybe more. The best case scenario is you're at 5K and 500 members in your free school community. The holy Threads conversion is a 10-to-1 followers to members ratio. If I have 10,000 followers, a good indication for me that I have an engaged audience is if I have 1,000 members in my community. So if it's 5-to-1, 10,000 followers, 2,000 members, you've got a very engaged community. If you've got a higher ratio, so 20-to-1, 10,000 members and 10,000 followers, 500 members, you've got a less engaged community or a less engaged audience. So the 10-to-1 is a Goldilocks zone. It's what most people can reasonably expect to achieve. Anything lower than that, 5-to-1, you're crushing it. Let's say, best case scenario, you've got 5,000 followers, 500 members. Then you're running a free cohort for 20 people inside your community, and you do it under these conditions. They got to do the work. They got to provide feedback. They got to give you a testimonial if it's earned, if they truly believe that you gave them good value. And you let them know that at the end, you'll offer them a paid upgrade after the cohort. Nothing sells better than results. Your free cohort, this is the important part, creates proof and demand for your offer. This is how you monetize. This is the mistake I made. Full transparency. I ran a paid cohort at the end of last year. I ran a paid cohort in November to December because we had about 13 or 1,400 members in Saints College at the time. And I'd spent like 8 months giving so much free value inside Saints College, but then there was no real pathway to monetization in mind. I was just figuring this out as I went. Knowing what I know now, I would have made that time much shorter, done a free cohort with the understanding of these 4 things. It's a much faster and more efficient path without taking shortcuts that end up like harming you in the long run. You run a free cohort for a month. You help people as much as you can. The good thing is that it's free as long as people give you a commitment to at least do the work. The pressure's taken off you. You don't have to worry about being a perfectionist. Just be you and have fun. And that will end up being the best value for the members anyway. And that's the fun part. What you do then is afterwards, you get the feedback, you implement the feedback, you get some testimonials, and I imagine you would by this point. And then, Yaz went full circle. And then you implement the feedback, you get testimonials. By that point, you've already been raising awareness about a paid offer by running the free cohort. And the good thing is that everyone who didn't join the free cohort either got FOMO because they wanted to, but they weren't part of the 20, or they weren't convinced, but after seeing the testimonial results from the 20 and now seeing proof, they'll want to. This is when monetization happens. Step 8 is you launch your paid school community. This is where the good stuff is. This is what we're all here for. After the free cohort, you've got your social proof, you've validated demand. Then you run a 2-week launch inside your free community and you just do fun stuff. When I launched the paid cohort, I would have made it free if I do this again and done it much earlier. I think I was selling too much. It was too much of a hard sales thing. I'm still figuring out the balance there because it's tricky. I think a lot of people have that ick with sales, and I'm one of them. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that in a way that's effective, but also in alignment with my values. And I'll always test that and never stop testing it to figure out what works. In the cohort, it was a bit too much of a hard pitch. But then with Full Circle, I was actually really proud of the launch we did. And Yaz and I worked on it a lot. I don't know if anyone was following the 12 days of Open AI when they were doing one feature a day leading up to Christmas. We did 14 days of Full Circle. It was a similar thing where maybe we'd have a day where we announced a scholarship for a free member based on who had the best results or something. Or maybe we had a video of Santa GPT, the special limited edition voice feature in ChatGPT that sounded like Santa Claus. I got Santa Claus to announce what some things were inside FC. And that was really fun because it was like, what the hell's going on here? But it was also raising awareness. Things like that, where it's exciting and everyone gets around it and you can do fun challenges, increases engagement. That's what I found really valuable about the launch we did inside Full Circle. I'll tell you about the results we had because of that in a moment, but how this relates to you. Let's say by this point, you've got 500 members in your free school, and then you've got 5K followers on Threads. That's the 10-to-1 conversion rate, the holy grail Threads conversion. With the 500 members, even a 2% conversion rate means 10 paying members at $100 per month, which is $1,000 monthly recurring revenue. The other way, like obviously there are so many different ways you can do this, but let's say you've got a 4% conversion rate, which I would say is probably going to be more likely, but 20 paying members at $50 per month, that is the same $1,000 monthly recurring revenue. That is what we did inside Full Circle. Last month, we did our launch. We had 15 people join. And because we offer a monthly and an annual subscription, we ended up making $6,088. We ended up making $6,088 in the launch week because of following this process, but in a much messier way. This was me following the process that I've just deconstructed for you for the first time and not really having any idea what I was doing. But what I've just outlined in these 8 steps is the fastest and the most efficient way to do it. If I was to start from zero on Threads again, these are the 8 steps that I would follow to grow on Threads and start earning $1,000 monthly recurring revenue as soon as possible. And I would say the pathway, a quick summary to make this happen, and that's what we help you do inside Full Circle. Here are the 9 steps for the no fluff monetization path on Threads. You start at 0 followers, all the way from 0 to 1K months in 6 to 12 months. Optimize your bio. Step 1. Step 2, engage like crazy. Step 3, post 3 times a day. Step 4, niche down at 1K. Step 5, start a free school community. Step 6, do warm outreach to get 100 members in your community. Step 7, write 3 long form posts weekly and plug your offer daily. If it's not in a long form, it's a listicle. Step 8, run a free cohort for testimonials and social proof. Step 9, launch your paid community, secure your first 1K. Importantly, because 1K one time is very different to 1K recurring. It's not just a $1,000 course one-time payment thing. You can expect to get this on a monthly basis if you're doing your job properly inside the paid community and people aren't leaving. And that is exactly what I would do tomorrow if I started from 0. And that is what we help you with inside Full Circle. Now, I mentioned the 6 to 12 month time frame. If that time frame scares you, I would tell you to quit now. I truly believe that you'll be chasing your tail trying to find faster ways to do this and then end up just having to realize that the pathway that you've chosen beforehand is not sustainable over the long run. It might make you a quick few $1,000s straight away, but in the long run, you'll eventually realize that it's not a long-term plan. In my opinion, anything great takes a lot of time to get started. This would take 6 to 12 months, depending on how much time you have available and how committed you are. If you can take even 12 months to start building a following, learn how to write online, convert people, grow a community, and monetize that to $1,000 per month by a 12-month period, bearing in mind that's the hardest part done. And in the second year, the 1K recurring revenue per month only continues to compound. That is a no-brainer. But most people don't play that long game enough and need to make $5,000 next week. So if that's for you, leave now. If it's not, that's what we help you with inside Full Circle. If you want to join, I'll put the link in the chat. If you have any questions, let us know. Just DM us. We believe in what we do and we love doing this. If you have any questions, I believe there were a lot of questions in the chat, then I will answer those now. Let me have a look at these questions. You've been trying to learn all this for longer than 1 year. I see. Okay, cool. So let's tackle some of these questions. Can I just say, I love the fact that you've asked a bunch of questions. It means that you're thinking about the stuff we're talking about. And that's the greatest compliment you can give me. Quick context, I used to tutor year 12 students in English in Western Australia where I live. And I can say right now that almost none of the students gave a shit. They just wanted to pass, and I don't blame them. But it's really a pleasure for me to do something I love with people who actually want to learn about it. So I appreciate you. All right. Anthony's question first. You don't want to sell stuff per se, but you want to expand your knowledge to others, especially when there are many misconceptions and misunderstandings of your niche. At the same time, I want to keep my ethical standards by not profiting off my knowledge and maintaining my sense of integrity and honesty. Is there a way to break those barriers so that I can consider selling relevant merchandise like maps, mugs, etc., without feeling guilty of selling myself off to others? Yes. It's an annoying answer. This is my truth, and I have nothing else but my truth and my own experience. Just start following those steps. Before you know it, you'll realize you have broken free from this barrier, because it's not like you wake up one morning and overnight you've broken free from it. You follow these steps and break free from it step by step, 0.1% every day. And then when you get to a point where you're making offers, whether it's for a free thing or a paid thing, you get to a point where it's shit. I've already spent all of this time doing this stuff. Am I really going to not do it just because I don't want to feel guilty of selling stuff? No. So then you figure out ways, like you rationalize how you go about doing this. So for me, my rationale is, even when it was coming to just talking about Full Circle, because I told you the fear of selling is real for me and it's something that I'm working on every day. But the reason why I force myself to bring this up is because I know we have so much value to give. Fucking tearing up because I believe it so much. If I wasn't going to make that known to people, I'd be doing myself a disservice and doing the people I can help a disservice as well. Because if they don't hear about that stuff, I won't ever get the chance to help them. So yeah, selling is a service. So for you, Anthony, how does this relate to you? If you believe in what you're doing and you have the conviction, it sells itself. Let me know if you've got follow-up questions about that, but that's my take. That's my truth. Michelle, so would you skip the FB groups and just do school? Like 100%. What am I sipping on? This is my mega 3-liter bottle of water. I do shift work and it can get very hot. So this is just my appendage. It's like part of my body. The short answer, Michelle, is absolutely. I try every day, trust me, but the spiders in the Australian outback, they ain't nice. Anyway, gives me PTSD. Not going to go into it. So Yasmin knows. Why would I go school instead of FB group? Because it's the most efficient pathway to it. In short, it's simple and less cluttered. So the pathway that I've just outlined to you, it's 3 steps. I'll come back to your point after I've addressed the other questions, Anthony. Step 1, free school. Step 2, paid school. Step 3. With a school, there's no clutter that Facebook has. It's much more fun because you've got gamification. And I know there is a sense of gamification in Facebook groups, but it's nowhere near the same. Let me show you this. Just the demonstration would just make it the most clear. It's the fastest route and the most simple route to monetization. This is a classroom inside Full Circle. I'll show you what this looks like from a member's perspective to, one, show you how easy the monetization is, and two, how good the gamification is and why I would suggest school over Facebook group. Give me a second. I'm just switching the screens that I'm sharing. Here we go. Can you give me a reaction once you see the screen being shared? Thanks, Michelle. So this is Dan Demo, who's my test account that Yasmin thought was a real person once. As you can see here, this is Dan Demo. He's a monthly member. But what we do inside Full Circle is we have an annual option. And it's like the annual option is a premium one that involves much more accountability. And what we've got here is all of these things, like, so you can get like the post templates and advanced lectures. As a monthly member, you can do things to either unlock this stuff by upgrading to annual. So I click there, and it's because this is a free account. But if this was a paid account, I could click that, upgrade to annual straight away. So that's just like a one-click upsell. So the monetization there is very easy. You can't do that on Facebook. But then, in terms of gamifying it, we have levels in school. You can level up by engaging inside the community. If I want to get a free hook roast, which is like me or Haytham or someone else right inside Full Circle, like Yaz, like roasting the hook of that post and giving feedback on it so you could make it better, you could just engage a bit, get to level 4, and unlock this for free. So that's the gamification part. Now switching back to a different screen, but here, check this out. This is pretty cool as well. And now I'm back on Lennox's account. Let's say I want to offer a paid thing. This is how easy it is to do that. Click new course, course description, buy now, add. If I'm Dan Demo and I see this paid thing inside the community for $69, I click on it and click buy now. I went through that to show you it just makes things easy for you to help people inside your community. You've got the community part, the classroom part, and the calendar, but it also makes it easy to sell something. As far as I'm aware, Facebook groups just don't make it that easy, and that's why I do school. So Anthony, you're already a specialist yourself with urban and transportation planning. You still struggle with getting more followers. Should I really get ready to learn ATL, slang linear? Wait, what is ATL? Oh, okay. I'm ready then. Thank you. Australians are ignorant. We're so far away and isolated from the rest of the world. You can educate me. I look forward to that, Georgia. I just called you Georgia because I read Atlanta, Georgia. Michelle. We've got specialists. Should I really do a strategy rethink? It's hard to say because normally what I do is a profile audit. We look at your profile and then look at some of your posts, check out like the bio, like optimizing your bio, that sort of thing, like we talked about at the beginning of the class. And that would give me more context to answer this question fully. But based on the information I have in that screenshot alone, what I would generally say is you probably just need to keep posting and engaging and then seeing what works until 1K, and then following that niche finder exercise we went through in step 4, available inside Saints College, instead of figuring out whether you need to rethink your strategy, you're just getting the data to tell you what strategy you should follow. And then, Michelle, is digital too broad? I'm a 20-year vet, worked with household brands. VET, is that an acronym for something, Michelle? I'd probably say yes, just as in digital marketing. Yeah, I would say it is, because everyone's niche is digital marketing. And remember that analogy of impressing people with a party trick of juggling 17 knives with one hand. It's so outrageous. That's the point. You can't not remember that and stand out in the crowd at the party. Everyone in that party is talking about how their niche is digital marketing. Meanwhile, you're over there juggling 17 knives with one hand. Who do you think is going to attract the most people? Now, obviously, you're probably thinking, okay, I can't juggle 17 knives, but you can. And this is the thing that Yaz and I discovered on the first ever call we had before she even joined the cohort I was talking about earlier, before Yaz became Captain Yasmin. And it was that we all have our own version of being able to juggle 17 knives. But because it's just assumed knowledge to us, we can't see it. So this is where it's helpful to have that outside perspective to ask you the questions, to tell you what's right in front of you. You're already juggling 17 knives. You just don't think that's special. That's what I'd say for that one, Michelle. For the long run, it is too broad. But if you're not at 1K on Threads, I would still just post whatever you want. That's generally about 3 of the same topics, or 3 different topics that are related. And then once you get to 1K, follow the niche finder exercise. Let that tell you how you can niche down. Anthony, you already have your main niche down, but it is not as engaging as broader categories like politics, health, or sports. Should I rethink my approach on that? It would be the same answer from the first one, Anthony. If you're not at 1K, do the posting and engaging until you get there so you can get data. And then instead of being too subjective about what you should be doing, be very objective. Think like a scientist, have a hypothesis, get ChatGPT to analyze the data for you, and that hypothesis will either be validated or unvalidated based on that data. Next one. Ooh, very exciting. Thought of your 3 topics. Also, prior getting to 1,000 followers, is quantity more important, meaning number of posts over quality? I don't want to sacrifice my post quality just because I need to gather attention from people. My approach would be In-N-Out Burger in this case. I understand the reference. I really want to try one, and I haven't, but that'll happen one day. Staying on track. I have a parable for you. It's not really a parable. It's more of like a experiment, and it's called the clay pot experiment. A professor at university had 100 people in his lecture, and the professor split them into 2 groups, Group A and Group B. The professor told Group A to, after 30 days, I want you to make the best clay pot you can possibly imagine with this one piece of clay. And they could only make one clay pot. Over the 30 days, they would have to perfect that clay pot. But then the professor told Group B to make the best clay pot possible with an unlimited amount of clay. They had to make just as many clay pots as possible, really, so they could end up with the best one. And question is, which group do you think ended up with the better clay pot at the end? Group A or Group B? Hopefully you can see what I'm getting at here. Group B ended up with the best clay pot because, and here is the moral of the story, quantity creates quality. Another way to put this, and it's more related to Threads, I posted 3 times per day on Threads every day for 18 months. It works out to be roughly 2,500 posts. Let's assume that every post represents one piece of data, and that data is like one learning or lesson. So that's 3 lessons every day for 18 months. Now imagine if I'd posted once per day would mean 1 lesson every day for 18 months, which means I'm learning 3 times slower by posting 3 times less. See what I'm getting at here? Now, there is a point. It's not a completely linear relationship where if I post 10 times per day, it does eventually plateau and then diminish. But what I'm trying to say is anywhere from 3 to 5 times per day, it will just speed up how quickly you learn. And the faster you learn, the better your writing is. And the better your writing is, the more success you have on Threads and in any sort of online business, because all of it starts with writing, or a letter, or a post, whatever it is, it's all writing. So in terms of the quality versus quantity part, my answer to that is quantity creates quality. If you can sustain that, do it, because you'll just achieve results much faster.